The King R here, back again with Madden Simulation. And last week, Madden did not fare so well, but hey, we entered the final week of the regular season. Yes, it's finally here. 17 weeks are finally here. 16 up, 1 to go, and that does not include the postseason, which only 12 teams will punch their ticket into the postseason. Right now, we have 5 on the NFC that have punched their ticket and 4 on the AFC side. So that just means 3 spots left, and one of those is playing right here, right now in my game of the week. And this week I have Atlanta hosting Carolina as my game of the week because it has major playoff implications. In this one, if Atlanta wins, they're in, plain and simple. Carolina wins, well, that doesn't mean Atlanta's done. They need a little help from those guys from the desert. And if Carolina wins and Minnesota loses, Carolina is the number 2 seed in the NFC. I don't know how that all works out, but it does. Maybe I can find out how later on. But I hope everyone has had a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you want to call it, so on and so forth. First and foremost, we joined late here in the third quarter between these two teams. Atlanta up 7-3, and only time will tell to see how these two teams fare with each other. And it, the AFC South. Well, AFC South was a day late and dollar short of who won the division there. But with the NFC South, everything turned back around, topsy-turvy. You could say that now it is one of the most dominant divisions in the NFL. But where am I going with this? Not sure where I'm going with this, but let's look back at some of the big news stories that have happened this past week, and who's still in and who's not. I mean, well, I'll get to the playoff race and maybe a year recap in a little bit. There's just one. I know there's been one major news story in my mind because it affects my team, and that's the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. And this past, a week or so ago, they decided to put Aaron Rodgers back on IR because their season was over with. And with the injury he suffered with his collarbone, they did not see the need of hurting him more and so forth. So they put him back on IR and more or less say, hey, we have succeeded, and go with the record that we'll just see how our young guys do, and hopefully, I'm hoping they make a coaching change on defense, but that's a tale for a different day. But apparently, some teams notified the NFL that the Packers had violated a rule, and saying that since the Packers put Aaron Rodgers back on IR with reportedly the same injury that he initially put him on IR, and that or the injury won't keep him out for 6 weeks, at least 6 weeks. They are supposed to release that player, Aaron Rodgers, onto waivers because of the violation. Well, many sources say the NFL is not going to enforce that rule, as far as I'm aware. And I don't know if they classified that Aaron Rodgers has had the same injury. That's why they're putting him on IR. And there's only 2 weeks. There were 2 weeks left of the regular season. Okay. And if any team claim Aaron Rodgers off of waivers. That doesn't mean he has to show up for practice, so on and so forth. So, an interesting one of those minor rules that may be looked over in the offseason, but highly doubt. But every team does it, and you know what? It's only because it's Aaron Rodgers. If it was any other player, no one would care. And apparently also this week in the Bills Patriots game, apparently there was another instant replay close call goofy things or whatever you could say. I don't know how to put it, but apparently we still don't know what catches, so on and so forth. I didn't see it. I didn't read about it. All I know is that all over the internet you had the New England Patriots team photo, and here's a group of referees. Also, speaking of Patriots, a former Pittsburgh Steeler, a.k.a. James Harrison, is now with the Steelers, with the Patriots. And well, he's been barely used by the Steelers. Apparently, he has asked for his release several times during the season, and they refused to, and now they finally did. And as a result, he signs with the Patriots. You know, so what? I don't blame James Harrison. I mean, guy wants to play. He's playing. You know, he's been on this team He's been released once before, played for the Cincinnati Bengals, and was hired back. Was signed back years later, but my whole thing is, if a player is not being used or being misused for a team and they ask for their release, I don't blame them. They want to play. There's better opportunities out there. You know, give him the shot, give him the chance. I know you don't want to let him go because he's a high-value target, but hey, it is what it is. But and of course, we'll find out if the Browns become the second team ever to go 0-16. They do take on the Pittsburgh Steelers this week. That was the game that I was thinking about doing to see if men believed in the Browns. But nah, I wanted to give you something that was more dealing with playoff implication. And surprisingly enough, for the first time in I don't know how many years, maybe 12, maybe more, I don't know, there will not be a Sunday night game this year. Because, well, the final regular season ends on New Year's Eve. And apparently they claim that, ratings will suffer, this and that. The last time the league had a Sunday night game on New Year's Eve was back in 2006 when the Green Bay Packers took on the Chicago Bears. And the funny thing is, that was the first year that NBC had Sunday Night Football. And it was the only game that was flexed that year. And ironically, the Packers were making a playoff push, but earlier in the day, their playoff hopes were eliminated. They went down to Chicago, take on the number one team in the NFC, the Chicago Bears, who at the beginning of the season came to Lambeau Field, shut them out, embarrassed them in Mike McCarthy's first game as head coach. And then they almost returned the favor 16, 17 weeks later in Chicago, gave Rex Grossman a QB rating of 0, if memory serves correctly. And Brett Favre had a very emotional post-game interview, and everyone was saying, he's going to retire because of this and that. And I don't know, 2-3 weeks later when the Bears made the NFC Championship game or made it to the Super Bowl, won that game, Favre came and said, I'm coming back. And, 2007 was one of his better seasons, especially late, except for in the NFC Championship game where he cost the Packers, a chance to the Super Bowl. And it is what it is. But let's move on. Let's stop looking in the past. We have all 16 games happening this Sunday. And we have playoff implications all over the field.
It's okay there. They didn't get a whole lot on that play, but it's nice to have a safety valve.
All over. What's this? What's that? Let's see if I can find it. Find it. It's okay. Let's see what this says. The NFL will. This is according to Wikipedia. Thank you, Wikipedia. The NFL will play a full slate of 16 games on December 31st to conclude the regular season. All the Week 17 games will be interdivisional matchups as they've been since 2010, which has been good and not so good because, the last 3-4 years, 2013, 14, 15, and 16, the NFC North division title has been on the line in those last 4 years, so it's worked out. This year, there's not so much. It's just, hey, okay, the NFC South, New Orleans wins, they're in, or they win the South, but they're playing Tampa Bay, who really has nothing for. Carolina, Atlanta, they have everything riding for this. This is not a meaningless game. Atlanta needs a win to get in. Carolina wants to win so they can get a number 2 seed if Minnesota loses. Who's Minnesota plays? The Chicago Bears. What are the odds that the Vikings rest and give up a first-round bye? Slim to none. But who knows about the Bears? They might come out and lay a punching. But anyways, all games with playoff implications will start at 4:25, just like this one. Although originally scheduled to be announced, the league announced that no Sunday Night Football game will be played in order to avoid the game without playoff implications due to early game results. So, for example, the Saints and Buccaneers, the Panthers and Falcons, they're going to play at the same time because they don't want to know. Oh, hey, New Orleans won. So Carolina, yeah, you have a playoff spot, but you can't get that first round bye. I mean, Carolina needs to win, and New Orleans needs to lose, and Minnesota needs to lose to get that first round bye and number 2 seed. But Atlanta, I don't know why this game wasn't put in for prime time. In all honesty, this has a lot of things riding on it. I also think Jacksonville and Tennessee, I think they play each other this week, final game of the regular season, and they have Tennessee has a chance to make the playoffs if they win, and a few other things I think. But if you go by that logic, like I said, last 4 seasons the NFC North division title has been in line, but only twice has that game, the last 2 years have been on Sunday Night Football. The 2013 game between the Packers and the Bears, where the winner take all, division winner, they make the playoffs. That was 4:25 Eastern Time, 3:25 Central Time. I live in Central Time Zone, so everything is going to be Central Time for me. But that game was a late game. The following year, Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions. NFC North title on the line. Number 2 seed in the NFC is on the line. And that was a late game as well. But it wasn't until but both teams were already in the playoffs. It was a division title that was determined. Then you had the Packers-Viking game. Both teams were already in the playoffs, but division title on the line. They moved that to Sunday night. Last year, Packers and Lions both made the playoffs. Division titles on the line. That was Sunday Night Football. But I think it was 2014, they put the Steelers and Bengals with nothing on the line on Sunday night. While I think it was it might have been the Panthers and the Falcons in 2014. Both had losing records, but it was winner take all. That was, I think, a noon game. So the NFL doesn't make sense with their formula. But I'm still trying to find, playoff clinching. There we go. Okay, here. This is the scenarios that are happening in Week 17. then I'll dive into the games that we're having and, bid my farewell to the regular season. And next week we move on to the wild card weekend, and I'll have a game for that for you. Okay, in the AFC, the New England Patriots can clinch home field advantage throughout the playoffs with a win. And who are they playing? They're playing Miami. No, they're not playing Miami. They're playing the Jets. Jets, Jets. Or a Pittsburgh loss. The Steelers can clinch home field advantage throughout the playoffs with a win and a New England loss. So Steelers win, Patriots lose. The road to the Super Bowl goes through Heinz Field. Otherwise, it's in the Northeast, like usual, in Foxborough. And that's what the Patriots want, because if they have to play a playoff game on the road, well, they're more likely to choke. The Ravens can clinch a playoff spot with a win or a loss by either Tennessee or the Buffalo Bills. Tennessee can clinch a playoff berth with a win or a loss by the Los Angeles Chargers and the Buffalo Bills. So basically, the Ravens and Titans, they win, they're in. But the two teams that are on the outside looking in, the Los Angeles Chargers can clinch a playoff berth with a win. They must win first. A Tennessee loss and either a Baltimore win or Buffalo loss. So Chargers win, Titans lose, and either the Ravens win or Buffalo loses. They're in. Buffalo, who's has the longest playoff drought in the NFL currently at 18 seasons. Last time they made the playoffs was 1999, and that was the Music City Miracle. Was it lateral or was it not? Who knows? The Bills, they must win and a Baltimore loss, or a win and losses both by Tennessee and Los Angeles Chargers. So, we got 4 teams fighting for 2 spots in the AFC. The only thing that's up for grabs, other than that, is home field advantage throughout the playoffs between the Steelers and the Patriots. So, and we already know that the Jacksonville has won the AFC South and has the number 3 seed. And the Kansas City Chiefs won the West again and are the 4th seed, and have stated that they will start Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. So, interesting scenario they got there to see what they got with their number 8th pick overall. I forget where he was drafted, but here we go. NFC side, the Vikings can clinch a first-round bye with a win, or Carolina loss, or a New Orleans Saints win. So, 3 different scenarios for them, and in my opinion, they have a good shot to get that first-round bye. The Saints can clinch the South with a win, a Carolina loss, so they both lose. Hey, Saints are your Southern champions. and that's it. Carolina can clinch the South with a win and a New Orleans loss, which I already stated. They can get first-round bye with a win and losses by the Saints, the Vikings, and the Rams. But I really don't know how. And the Rams can't. There's nothing in there with the Rams. They already have the number 3 seed locked up. But they have to lose for them to get the number 2 seed, and they need to win. Atlanta can clinch a playoff berth with a win or a Seattle loss. And finally, Seattle can clinch a playoff berth with a win and Atlanta loss. They can't both lose. So, on the NFC side, you have 1 spot that's open, 2 teams fighting for it. And the NFC already has 5 new teams in the playoffs. Compared to the AFC, who only has 3. And for the first time ever, since at least the realignment, the NFC has 4 new divisional champions. And so, let's dive into Week 17, the games that we have that are going to take place. We have my lonely Green Bay Packers taking on Detroit Lions. You know, the funny thing is Green Bay has won 100 games against Detroit if you include the playoffs. Otherwise, they're 98 wins and 2 wins away from reaching that 100 mark in regular season fashion. Anyways, we have Green Bay at Detroit, Houston at Indianapolis, Chicago at Minnesota, New York Jets versus New England, Washington versus the New York Giants, Dallas at Philadelphia, Cleveland, who's 0-15, takes on Pittsburgh, Carolina. Oh, those are all your noon games. Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 noon games. So that's one less than half. So you have 9 afternoon games. Jeez. NFL Red Zone is going to be busy. You have the Carolina at Atlanta, Cincinnati at Baltimore, Buffalo at Miami, New Orleans at Tampa Bay, Jacksonville at Tennessee, Kansas City at Denver, Oakland at LA Chargers, San Francisco at the LA Rams, and Arizona at Seattle. Before we dive in that, what we got? We got a little over a minute left. 17-10. Atlanta has the lead. Will they hang on to it or will they blow it? Obviously, like I said, I feel like this is the game of the week because there's so much playoff implications on it. Because Atlanta can either make the playoffs or miss the playoffs with this game. They win, they're in. They lose, they might be done. They have to see what happens out in the Pacific Northwest with Seattle. Seattle's the home team against Arizona, and somehow Seattle could sneak their way in the playoffs yet again. And I don't think they're that good of a team. Well, for years I don't think they're that good of a team, but that's a personal opinion. But in all honesty, the 49ers-Rams game, Jimmy G, future of the Niners, is up for grabs. Oh, and we're just an extra point away from tying up the game. I mean, Jimmy G will put that defense to test to see how future ready these Niners are, and they can make a push. The NFC West might make a push with the Rams and the Niners, and if Seattle's on the decline, and Arizona's only 1 game away from 500. So, I mean, just looking at the NFC standings, there could be. Okay.
And now a critical extra
1,
point attempt here.
2, 3, 4 teams. Just 4 teams with losing records. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that could finish the season at 8-8. Because the funny thing is they played the Packers and Detroit. Detroit's 8-7, Green Bay 7-8. Green Bay wins. They're both going to finish at 8-8. If Arizona beats Seattle, they're going to finish 8-8. Seattle's going to be 9-6, and if Dallas beats Philly and Washington beats the Giants, they're going to both be 8-8. Or no, if Dallas loses. Oh, what's this? Oh, overtime. So, I gotta hurry up here. AFC side, it's a little more whack. There's going to be at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams with losing records guaranteed. So half the field there are losers. But okay, plain and simple, my pick of the week, my guarantee of the week, I'm going with the Steelers over the Browns. If Browns win, well, you know what? They're going to be my Super Bowl pick next year then. I'll say that. Plain and simple. But my upset pick, I'm going with Niners over the Rams. That's going to be my upset pick. I just think the 49ers have something going for them. But next week though, we'll be in the first round of the playoffs, the NFL playoffs, wild card weekend. Yay! We already know. No, let's see. We have 3 spots up for grabs. We know 9 of those teams so far. Seeding is still up for grabs for some of those spots, but hey, we'll see. Have to see who plays who in the wild card weekend to see what my game of the week is, but I'm only going to do one. Oh, Atlanta. Oh, so close. So close. They're in field goal range. This might be it. Atlanta might make the playoffs. But hey, I will say, fun season. To be honest, it's nice to see some new faces in the playoffs, even knowing I hate some of them, but we still see some old faces like those cheating Patriots and blue-collar Steelers that, I'm not a big fan of either, but I know there's a lot of blue-collar fans out there that love the Steelers because they're the people's team. Or something along those lines. Blue collar, or whatever, blah, blah. Oh, here, Atlanta setting up for a field goal attempt, and Carolina calls timeout. Anyways, but it's really nice to see some brand new faces that we haven't seen in a long time, like the LA Rams, potentially the Buffalo Bills, the LA Chargers. LA could have 2 teams in the playoffs. They could have an all LA team play in Minnesota for the Super Bowl. And the funny thing is, no Charger fans will show up because, they don't have any more fans. But it'd be nice to see Buffalo, make the playoffs again. Don't know how well they will fare, but anyways, come on, let's get to the kick. Let's stop holding the suspense. We know it's a chip shot field goal. Well, it could get blocked, could be returned. But here we go. With the win, Atlanta moves on to the playoffs. With a miss, the game continues. Here we go. Snap, place, kick is up, and it's good. Madden likes Atlanta to make the playoffs, and Seattle, sorry, nah, hey, goodbye. You'll join Green Bay in better luck next year category. So that will do it for me. Like I said, I'll be back next week with Wild Card Weekend. Let's hope we get some. It'll be wild and not, too predictable. But anyways, thanks for watching. Enjoy the new year and wish you all, best of luck. So thanks for watching. Until next time, see ya.
Your holder, a lot of nerves for them too.